Good evening. I'm going to start us off in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10. And we know that the book of 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians is loaded with a list of things that the church might have been struggling with. But getting away from that a little bit, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. So whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Give no offense to Jew or to Greek, or to the church of God, just as I try to please everyone in everything that I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. And maybe some of y'all have heard that verse or not, but I think the next verse is one starting in chapter 11, verse 1, where we often go to. It says, "Be an imitator of me, as I am of Christ." And I think Paul did a great job of doing that in his life. And as much as he might have struggled at one point early on and thinking he might have been in the right, I think sometimes we too have been people who might have thought we were in the right and then come to find that we need to be in a closer relationship with Christ. And so sometimes it seems like the crowd kind of swarms us. Sometimes it seems like the world is caving in. So I want to consider three ideas real quick about the crowd. And if you're in it, you'll probably find yourself in one of these categories: being lost in the crowd, being a follower in a crowd, or being caught in the crowd. And it's too easy, I think, to be lost in the crowd. You don't know where you are and you don't know what to do. You don't know what angle you need to take to get out of a situation. But sometimes you just get caught up and you're kind of lost in that crowd. But then maybe you're someone who's right there as a follower of whatever's going on. Maybe you're a follower in the crowd. You're someone who's amongst the same mindset of the people around you, maybe just like us here today, how we're all followers of Christ. But sometimes there's not always a good reason to follow the crowd as well. But maybe you're caught in the crowd. You're in too deep, you're way over your head. And it's funny how Christ gives us an answer to each one of these scenarios. And he says, "Come, follow me." Being an imitator of Christ might be easier for some. Maybe the scenario might be great in how they grew up in a household. But I've always, someone who has grown up in a Christian household, admired a lot of folks who have come to Christ. Sometimes their stories just greatly impress me. And however it is that we have come to know God, as it says in Galatians chapter 4, how we're supposed to come to know God, we need to make sure that we stay on the straight and narrow and not turn back to the weak and worthless elementary principles that the world has provided for us in Galatians chapter 4. We are an imitator of Christ. But if we're caught up in the crowd, if we're a follower in the crowd, if we're lost in the crowd, you're never going to be right there with Christ. Where are you in your walk? Where does your steps take you? Is it going in the right direction with Christ, or is it leading you away from God and that relationship you have to have with him? We'd love to help you in whatever scenario you might need. We'd love to pray for you. We'd love to help you, but we'd ask that you'd come at this moment. We are going to offer an invitation song. And during this invitation, this is the chance to make right some of those things in your life and your relationship with God. We ask that you do so as we stand and sing this song.